With all the craziness going on during silly season, we almost forget that another driver is on the spot to lose his seat. Mick Schumacher, son of the famous Michael Schumacher, is far from safe to secure a seat at Haas in 2023. Mick came into F1 in 2021 after 2 years of driving in Formula 2, where he won the title in his second year. The young Schumacher made the move to Haas alongside his new teammate Nikita Mazepin. But what was supposed to be a happy marriage turned into a disaster. Due to a lack of car performance, Mick never managed to score a single point in 2021. However, all resources were put to the development of the 2022 car, which would see the biggest change in F1 regulations in 40 years. Although the 2022 car was a big leap forward, Mick still made rookie mistakes and crashed his car in Saudi Arabia and Monaco. Gunter Steiner, team boss of Haas, said in an interview with Motorsport.com 2 months ago that Mick's crashes impacts the budget of the team and the development rate of the car. Steiner has often criticized Schumacher and recently said that they are in no hurry to offer a new contract to the German driver. Another problem for Mick is his lack of pace compared to his teammate Kevin Magnussen. Schumacher has been outqualified 11 times by his teammate and was quicker only twice, one of them due to a power unit replacement of Magnussen. Schumacher has scored 12 points compared to the 22 points of his teammate, and although Schumacher is improving himself, it might not be enough to keep his seat for next year. So why is Mick Schumacher about to lose his seat? How is the relationship between Gunter Steiner and Schumacher? What did Steiner recently say about their driver's lineup, and how does Ferrari play an important role in Schumacher's future? Let's find out. Mick is part of the Ferrari Drivers Academy since 2019. As part of an engine deal between Ferrari and Haas, Ferrari managed to secure a spot for Schumacher at Haas for 2021 onwards. The pressure was enormous after winning the F2 championship and having an F1 7-time world champion as a father. When Mick entered F1, many were hoping to see the new Schumacher to be just as good as the legendary Michael. However, it soon became evident that Mick is far off the driving skills of his dad. So what are the differences between father and son? Michael Schumacher was notorious for his aggressive driving and didn't care to bend the rules to win. The old Michael had a fierce mentality with lots of charisma that made him into a popular and extremely successful driver. But if we compare Mick's driving style to that of his dad, we can conclude that there is a big difference. Whereas Michael went for every gap he saw and closed every opening to prevent an opponent of overtaking him, Mick has a more conservative driving style and drives with less risk. Another strong point of Michael was his capability to outperform his teammates in qualifying. Although Mick outqualified his previous teammate Nikita Mazepin by 19-0, many didn't deem Mazepin worthy of an F1 seat in general. The 2022 season proves that Mick has a much harder time with a stronger teammate alongside him. So how did the 2022 season go for Schumacher so far? Haas built a fairly competitive car for the beginning of the 2022 season. After Mazepin was not allowed to drive due to the implemented sanctions against Russian sportsmen, Magnussen was reinstated as a Haas driver. Having been let go by Haas at the end of 2020 and returned 1 day before preseason testing in Bahrain, Magnussen impressed everyone by being faster than his teammate. In the first 2 races, Magnussen secured a 5th and 9th place, whereas Mick ended 11th, and due to his crash in qualifying couldn't even start the race in Saudi Arabia. It took until race 10 that Mick was finally able to score his first points in F1. After an intense fight at the end of the Silverstone race with Verstappen, Schumacher came across the finish line 8th. After the race, Gunter Steiner was asked whether this will relieve Mick of some pressure. Steiner said, "We could fight, and it's also good for Mick. We almost couldn't believe what happened today, so this is really nice for everybody." For Mick at least, some of the pressure hopefully goes away and he can drive free. I hope he gets more confidence now to score more points, but we need to be careful the pressure doesn't get hyped up again and everyone thinks, now the floodgates are open, now you need to make points every time. And then the first or second time he doesn't score points, it's again, oh, he's doing badly. Steiner tries to protect his protege as much as he can, but at the same time has repeatedly said that Mick needs to improve. What bothers Steiner the most is his inconsistency and his crashes. Haas had to write off 2 of Schumacher's cars due to crashes he caused without another driver near him. This severely impacted Haas' budget and capability to develop the car. Besides the 2 crashes, he was yet in another accident at the French Grand Prix with Alfa Romeo driver Zhou, which depleted his chances of scoring another point finish. So how has the relationship been so far between Steiner and Schumacher? Steiner is notorious for his extremely direct approach, whereas Christian Horner, team boss of Red Bull, is famous for his political approach towards the media. Steiner often lets his emotions get the better of him. When Motorsport.com interviewed Steiner, they asked how Mick handles his criticism. He's getting used to it. As I said, if you want to be part of Formula One, you need to get used to it. It's not only the driving, there's so much other stuff that you need to learn. If you do something wrong, nobody's going to say, it's okay. No, somebody will always say it was effing wrong, you know? Unfortunately, sometimes it comes down to me to be the bad guy, but hey, I can live with that. Although Steiner agrees that Mick made progress throughout the season, it is still very unsure whether Schumacher's contract will be extended. Prior to silly season, the amount of drivers' options were limited, but Vettel's retirement changed everything. The surprising retirement of Vettel fueled speculations of Schumacher going to Aston Martin. Even Vettel put Mick forward as his replacement, but Lawrence Stroll was set in attracting a world champion who knows how to win races. It seems that Schumacher's only choice to remain in F1 is by staying at Haas, but Steiner isn't in a hurry to start contract negotiations. In an interview with Racer, he said, "We never decide the driver before the summer break, and we will not do so this year. Obviously, I will start to speak with Gene over the summer break, and then you know how we do it. You will ask again at the next race in Europe, and then we will tell you sometime in the end of September or October what we are doing. And the same will be happening this year, hopefully." Steiner is pretty set in how and when he will talk to Schumacher, but when asked whether he has to pay attention to the Ferrari deal, he said, "I don't want to speak about our Ferrari deal because otherwise they get upset. At the end of the day, I don't know the real deal between Ferrari and Mick, and I don't need to know. If he decides to go somewhere else, I cannot change it. Only Gene and me are involved in that process," summed up Steiner, who is fine to have at least Magnussen's situation clear for 2023. But is Ferrari still backing their junior driver? Mario Binotto, team principal of Ferrari, said in an interview with the German RTL that he is not fully convinced of Schumacher's driving skills. Schumacher has his own contract with Ferrari, and Haas allegedly has a deal with the Italian team to always have a Ferrari Academy driver in their team. Since Ferrari is slowly pulling away their support from Mick, it makes it more difficult to secure a spot at Haas next year. While Schumacher first needs to manage to keep his seat, journalists asked Mick whether he feels he is ready to drive for Ferrari. Yes, yes, yes. Our cars are not exactly the same, but they do have similarities, and I've grown up with Ferrari since 2019, so I think I'm familiar with all the procedures. I would be happy to show what I have in me. Although this is a pure hypothetical situation, it shows that Mick is clearly looking forward in his career. What would certainly help him is to score a couple good results after the summer break. His biggest problem lies in qualifying. If he can improve his one-lap pace, he would set himself up for a much better outcome during the race. One thing is clear, the pressure is on, and Mick needs to prove himself soon if he wants to keep his seat at F1. Do you think Schumacher will be fired at the end of the season? Let me know in the comments section below.